Right, okay, welcome to the A320. We've just reset from a CTD, so just had to do the major stall recovery, dropped from 14,000 feet down to 2,000 feet whilst recovering that stall, and went into overspeeds of about 550 knots. So, yeah, plane's fucked really. Oh, sorry, screwed. Any word that's not that word, which I just said, so I'll have to put not safe for kids anyway. So yeah, so we're descending now into Tenerife South over there. We've got the Canary Islands on the left behind us. I'm just going to set the time back to real and get the simulator thing working. There we go. So I need to put LS on both sides, and now frequency is fine. So basically coming from BAML, there's a bit of a DME arc, and then we come around the corner here. We've kind of skipped the arc because of the CTD. So we get the chart out. GCTS approach -007. There we go, so we're coming in there to do 10 DME arc. We'll be coming into land. All the lights are on and everything's fine. I'm just going to go into the config page and sort out the fuel level. Because it should actually be around 4,500 kilos. Passengers is fine. No, it just reduces all of our approach speeds because actually we departed with 14,000 on board. We actually have burnt most of that. I had 7,500 about half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. Not even, more than that. About an hour ago we had 7,500, so yeah. Let's check the failures in main. High brake temperature, no, that's going to get cleared out. There we go. Okay, so we're all set up now. We're going to set auto brake low, start the timer, coming in for the approach there. Localizer path is there, so let's intercept that when we get back around. I'm going to set flaps 1. Let's run on 10 mile, 14 mile line. There's the runway inside. Wind noise starts up, as you can hear. A bit of a VATSIM shout out, I suppose. We've got some knots from behind, so it might be a tailwind landing, we will see. It's an island, so it can swirl around basically. As an island is essentially a massive object in a laminar flow of the wind. Let's set COM1, 122.8. I've stiffened my rudder pedals, so I'm curious to see if that makes a realistic difference to the feeling when we do any rudder inputs. There's altitude and localizer, there's second autopilot going on. And we're reaching our slat speed. So S speed is fine. Repeat goes on. Yeah, so now I suppose we're on the glide path now. You can see we're descending with 1,000 feet per minute. Going to turn off the second box there. We don't need that. Let's arm the speed brakes. Set flaps 2. Now this flaps 2 setting may push us over the glide path, which is realistic. As you can see, there's the reduction in vertical speed. Pitch up and nose down to compensate. Flaps 2 set, we're on 8 miles, gear down. Little volcanoes everywhere, all over the islands in the Canary Islands. There's a volcanic range. Using Bing Maps for the world scenery, I hope. Yeah, still working. Good. 2,500. So let's set flaps free at 5 miles, flaps full at 4 miles. So we give us a kind of mouse. Set flaps free now as the nose is starting to come up. There's flaps free, and they've fixed that bug, as you can see. We've got a slight nose down, nothing more than what I was basically doing with my own manual flying kind of 5 mile rule that I made up. So flaps free is now set, and one's spooling back up to compensate for that increase in drag. 6 miles to go. Tenerife traffic, Alpine 4A Charlie Bravo, 6 mile final, runway 07. As you can see, the wind now spinning around to 000 5 knots. The wind is actually supposedly a headwind for us today, so we'll see what happens when we get down there. And in any case, it's coming off the sea, so there's liabilities. It's going to be quite a gusty wind, as you generally find in places like Palma de Mallorca as well. Sea breezes are a little bit more choppy, a little bit more energetic than you might get on mainland Europe, for example, right inside the inner parts of Germany and Austria. Okay, flaps full, 4 miles. There you go, we've got some volcanoes here to watch out for. QNH 1022 is set. As you can see, quite a bit of flying around now. Let's just see if I can set up the weather for the arrival, because that will probably make a difference. 10014, 2619.
$1,000.
There you go, that's fixed GS Mini. You see GS Mini had us at 150 knots, now it's put us down to 140 knots because it knows at the airport we've got a reliable headwind of 100 degrees 14 knots. Okay, looking ahead, runway in sight. And you're flying now, I'm going to make a bit less inputs than the autopilot was.
500.
Okay, winds from the right hand side. Problem with 14 knots is you're going to start getting gusts occurring, which is what we've got now. As you can see, the vertical speed is all over the place basically. So just to try and reduce it, there we go, let's aim at that aiming point. Something like that.
Glide slope.
Shh, hush, little darling.
Glide slope.
You're not helping me land by yelling glide slope. 100, 50,
40, 30, 20, retard. 5,
touchdown. And reverse the screen. Auto brake low. Left rudder now for the rollout. Okay, we'll vacate this left here. 57 knots ground speed, we can exit high speed, so just left brake tap. Using the rudder. Okay, we're coming below 35 knots, so we can start using the tiller now. Probably below 30 knots. There we go. Runway's vacated, flaps up, spoilers off. Okay, we're going to go left to the terminal. Welcome to Tenerife. Don't worry, we flew it from Italy, so there won't be any British... Anyone who's been on a flight to Tenerife from the UK knows what I'm talking about, hopefully. Or any of the Canary Islands, anywhere in Spain really, especially with EasyJet or Ryanair. It can be quite rowdy. Yeah, that wind kind of calmed down when we actually got to the runway into the flare area. It was quite more dealable. Flare was quite long, admittedly. It was a within the touchdown zone, and that's the rules. I mean, it's not, the rule isn't you have to slam it down on the aiming point. That's the point where if you do not arrest the flare, a perfect glide slope takes you there. So actually you want to be shortly after that. And some airports, I mean, places like Innsbruck, you can kind of adjust your glide path so you're slightly below glide path, so that as you flare you land on the blocks, which is what I generally end up doing. When I fly the real planes as well, I always have 4 reds when I'm on short final at Innsbruck, so as I come over the fence to runway 26 I'm always all red on the pappies, because the 3 degree glide path basically means that when you go over the threshold you're going to be 50, that's the whole point. There's a basic rule is when you fly in aviation, you have a 50-foot obstacle clearance over the threshold of runway. It means that you can you're definitely going to make it to the runway without hitting anything. And all ILS glide paths are set up like that. But when you're flying VFR, that's not entirely necessary. At certain airports, especially Selamsi, for example, we want to kind of be over the threshold in the flare, kind of potentially having started the flare already 100 meters before the runway, just to make sure we get wheels down quickly. So yeah, you can always adjust the glide paths, but with an airliner you do definitely want to be 50 feet over the threshold. Not like me sometimes doing 40 or 30 feet over the threshold, because then I get the warnings, too low, flaps, glide path, terrain ahead. Because the aircraft doesn't know that you're deliberately doing that, and you have to kind of tell it. Right, there we go, we've landed, we've taxied in now, and the timings there, so we've got, apparently we didn't land. But what did Volanta say? Well, Volanta said we landed at 154 feet per minute, 1.01 G, on the touchdown marker 1, 2, 3. There are after the touchdown zone marker. There was we landed between the first and second after, and I will probably have to put a note into this thing here as to why that didn't record. Engines off. I think that SIM collection's broken.